A cough. Welcome. Look at us. We're back and we are ready to talk about politics. It's been about a month actually, but we're back. Maple Minds podcast. We are back just temporarily for one time a week on Tuesdays through December. And then in January you'll be able to see more of us. But we did take a little break because I went on a vacation. I went to Scotland and Ireland for a little bit. It was amazing. And then when I came back, I was too sick. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I was too sick. I haven't even made content. I'm so rusty right now. I haven't been making content. I haven't been going live. We haven't been doing the show, but I'm ready to come back. And I'd like to lead off with a little story about when I was in Ireland, when I was coming back. I was in a taxi by myself and I was going to the airport. And the guy asks me, where are you going? I said, I'm going home to Vancouver, Canada. And he said, oh, so you're going home to the 51st state, are you? And then I said something to the effect of, Irish taxi drivers come with jokes or something. And he's like, oh, sorry. I guess that's not funny. And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, no, dude, it's not funny. But I just, I was keeping it light. But then we had a great conversation about how they can see there what Trump is doing to the United States is madness. His words, not mine.
Luckily, that guy made it back to the airport for you.
Yeah, it was early in the morning to get heated, but I was like, really, dude? Anyways, I have missed talking about politics with you guys, and I missed some moments. I missed Jenny Byrne being replaced by Mr. Outhouse. I missed John Rustad resigning, which is what we're going to start with. But just a quick refresher to everybody, because we haven't been here for a while. I'm Christy, that's Rob, and Polly. We're three people from British Columbia who like to talk about BC politics and federal politics and international politics. We are live every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to be doing a special show tomorrow night at 5 o'clock Pacific Time, which we'll talk about in a bit. But let's just get into it because I've been yapping so much. I want to hear Rob's opinion about Mr. Rustad, his resignation, and his very quick pivot from "Are you resigning?" No, to "Hi, I'm resigning." All right, what do you think?
Honestly, the best word that comes to mind is messy. It was messy, like that. Like, I don't know, lots of drama, very messy. And I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, he's been around for a while, and he got forced out. We know he got forced out, and I don't think he wanted anyone to know that he got forced out. So he basically was like, yeah, turned around and ended up having to resign. Really, I mean, the whole thing was hilarious. It was kind of like this weird soap opera drama playing out right before your eyes. And yeah, guess what? You're out. That's it.
Very quick turnaround time, too.
Oh yeah.
And I think you're right. I think a lot of people don't know that they're getting the boot. But if that's your intention, if your intention is for it to appear that you're in charge of this situation, like I can't remember the number of MLAs who had signed on to say, hey, this guy needs to go. It was in the teens, though. That's a lot of people to, I don't know. I think if he wanted people to give people the impression that this is his choice, I think he handled it poorly, because I think it's very evident that it wasn't his choice, especially how defensive he got. Like, you can still say, I'm going to remain as an MP. That part of my job doesn't change. I'm only resigning this part of my job. But he didn't. He was very defensive, very aggressively defending his position. I'm still an MLA. I'm still here. I think that could have been delivered in a better way that made him look. I think anytime you look that defensive, I think you don't look good, personally.
No. It's funny. It almost reminded you of a Blind Side in Survivor. Back where they're all sitting around the fire, and all of a sudden it's you're sitting there thinking, oh yeah, so and so is getting voted out, and all of a sudden your name starts popping up. Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait. Oh,
I haven't
what?
watched that show in years, but
No, me
100%
neither.
that was why I watched the show. That was my favorite part of the show. I thought it was fantastic. Um,
Yeah, Mr.
in
Rustad, it's not his favorite part. That's for
It
sure.
is not his favorite part. Now, here's another thing. So on the online discourse around Mr. Rustad's resignation, you got a lot of people accusing him of being liberal. Don't forget, everybody wants the internet to remember, don't forget this guy was a BC liberal. And I want to remind everybody that a BC liberal is a liberal in name only and not in practice. BC liberals are quite literally the same conservatives. John Rustad is only one example. Kevin Falcon was also a BC liberal. He led the BC United party, which then dissolved in order to support the Conservative Party. These guys are conservative in practice. Christy Clark, Gordon Campbell, those guys were not liberals in practice. They were only liberals in name. So I think that that is an unfair accusation. And I think that it's done intentionally to drag the party further to the right.
Oh, for sure it is. You can see there's a growing portion of conservatives that are really, really moving to the right. I don't know if it's a good move for them, because I don't think as Canadians we are all that far right. Like I think the Conservative Party was doing well when it was middle right. You were where they still had that portion of the middle that was part of their party. But by them moving so far right, they're clearly leaving that open for the Liberals to just sort of take over that portion. And a lot of people who are in the middle, who would kind of go back and forth between liberal and conservative, have no conservative to go to anymore, because they look at that and go, that's a little out there now. Like some of the people, even in the conservative provincial government, uh, they're so far right, and it's baffling to me as a BC resident to think that some of these people think that that's the way to go, and I don't even know where to begin. I mean, obviously, there's a few of them that are so far right that it's scary, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's the wrong way to go for them, but you know what? Go for it. Go all the way over there if that's how you feel, and the rest of us will just stay here.
Pardon me.
Because
So I
I'm
got a
not
couple
going
of
over.
thoughts about that. Sorry, one moment.
No worries. Take your time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I was a little ill last week, and I still can't get rid of this cough. It's driving me nuts. And you know what I blame? I blame the lack of vegetables in Scotland and Ireland. Like I know that you have potatoes.
I was gonna
Listen,
say they got lots of potatoes.
I know. When I said to the taxi driver, the 51st State comedian, I said, your country doesn't have any vegetables. And he said, hey, potatoes are a vegetable. And I'm like, anyways, when you say that you're surprised about BC leaning so far to the right, I'm going to suggest that that is because of our lived experience, we are more connected with the message that comes from the Lower Mainland. I think that the majority of the Lower Mainland, especially the closer to Vancouver that you get, is mostly left leaning, is mostly progressive or liberal, or somewhere in the middle, but definitely not far right. I think the further away you go, I think you're going to see some pockets of the far right in the valley, you know, Chilliwack and Abbotsford and that kind of area. But I think the majority of them are from up north, like way up north, like mining up north. I think that those guys lean quite hard to the right. And I think that that sort of pulls the average, but we only feel like we feel about what is around us. And that's Lower Mainland people, right? I also think that there is a strong contingent on the island. And the reason I think that is because of how much attention the Freedom Convoy gave to the island. Skip Vancouver. Even when they said they had a Vancouver event, when they brought Christine Anderson from the AFD from Germany, when they hosted her, and it wasn't the Freedom Convoy, but it's the same sort of movement, you get me. When they hosted her in Vancouver, it was out in Coquitlam. That stuff doesn't fly as much in the Lower Mainland that it does in the outskirts and up north, in my opinion.
Yeah, but my surprise is if you ever want to take government, you need the majority. Like you need a majority of people. And the fact is, they're in the outskirts. They're not the majority. It's very, there's not very many people. There's not very many seats out there. The majority of the seats are here. And to go so far right, you're basically just saying, hey, Lower Mainland, with all the seats for BC, we don't need your seats. We don't ever want to be in government. That's the baffling thing to me is to take that party and go so far right to cater to the minority.
Okay, so first of all, I'm not saying that there isn't any far right support in the Lower Mainland. There is. I know a couple of Lower Mainlanders who really push that at protests and stuff. I've seen them in person. I've seen them on social media. I know that there is a contingent of that in the Lower Mainland. I just don't believe it's as common as people who think like us or think further to the left. I also think that the further right is being more represented now by OneBC, and I want everybody to know that we can't get into that in this show because we'll run out of time. We want to talk about some other stuff. But when I mentioned earlier in the show that we were doing a special tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, it is to host a live just about the OneBC party. In BC, you only need to have 2 MLAs in order for it, 2 sitting MLAs, in order for it to be considered a legal party and to receive $650,000 of public money in order to support your party. And this party appears to be using this position simply to push bigotry, with the Indigenous community being their greatest target. So we're going to have an entire show about that tomorrow at 5 p.m. We will be there. I've also invited some people who are way smarter than me in politics and also in Indigenous relations with the government and an Indigenous perspective of how this party is affecting their community. So I hope everybody can come back and join us at 5 o'clock tomorrow. But when we talk about the Conservatives moving far right and recognizing how some people in BC are moving that far right, I don't want you to think that we're ignoring OneBC. We're just not going to talk about them outside of my little spiel of come see us tomorrow. We do recognize that they're there, but we're going to recognize them with a whole show tomorrow.
Yeah, and not recognize them in a nice way.
No, recognize them in a, everybody needs to recognize this danger and we need to do what we can about it. But that's for tomorrow. And I will put out a promotional video afterwards. I was trying to get it done this morning, but like I said, I'm rusty, man. I'm looking up topics. I'm getting ready and rusty.
We'll call you Rusty.
Okay, so speaking of rusty, let's go back to Rustad. Do you think not moving far enough right hurt him in his party? Because don't forget, this is the guy that had kicked out Dallas Brody, who then started the OneBC party. He said that her comments towards residential school survivors was not acceptable, and he removed her from the Conservative caucus. And so she went on her own and then later was joined by another MLA who voluntarily stepped away so that they can make their own party. Do you think that him supporting Indigenous rights, and I'm not saying that he does overall, I'm saying in this instance, and there was another instance with the Speaker of the Conservative Party, she's from Chilliwack, I'm sorry, I forget her name, like I said, Rusty. There was also an incident there. Do you think that him not being further right, do you think that that cost him his leadership?
I don't think so. I think there's still a lot of people in the BC Conservative group that aren't far right, that aren't part of that group. I mean, there's only 2 people part of that OneBC, right? So I think that, I think what he did was right. And I think that a lot of people, I think there was a lot of grumblings about his leadership though. And some of the stuff where they talk about like lack of fundraising and like there's a couple other issues that they were talking about. At no point did they mention anything about him kicking her out of the caucus or whatever. I don't think that had any play in it personally. And if it did, that's scary. That's a scary thought. But I don't think so. I don't think that's what it was.
Because when we look at the federal Conservatives, different party, right? Even though one could argue that Rustad's platform was quite it had a Pierre accent. You know what I mean? I believe Pierre even came out to visit Rustad at one point pre-election. But when we see the federal Conservative Party be criticized for some of their tactics and some of Pierre Poilievre himself, his unlikability because of his mega-like tactics, my words, not theirs, but we saw him dig in and sort of, yeah, this is me. I'm going to keep doing it no matter what, especially with his choice of replacing Jenny Byrne, who was actually photographed with a MAGA hat, replacing her with Shorthouse. That guy's more MAGA than Jenny is, arguably. I think that was a signal to no. I know that you guys are saying that I'm losing because I'm leaning this way. I'm going to lean this way more. That's what I think we saw with the federal Conservatives. I'm wondering if that's the way that the provincial Conservatives want to go.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out soon enough.
I'm going to excuse myself for 1 second because I'm just going to go take a shot of cough syrup. I'm so sorry. Anyways, do you know anything about the motion that Pierre is putting forward with the pipeline?
Yes, well, a little bit for the pipeline.
So talk about that while I go cough syrup. I'll be right back.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. So essentially, for Pierre Poilievre, it's a case of showmanship. It's I don't know. The whole thing is a bit of a mess. I think he's just doing it for his own political agenda. There was really no point to it for even him having to do that. So I'm not sure why it's such a big deal, but I think that's just something that he decided that we're going to do this and try to take some of the wind out of the memorandum of understanding that Carney put forth, right? So essentially, it's just a ploy. It's just political theater. He's just trying to gain some notoriety and try to essentially, I don't know, just pull the take the wind out of the sails of what Carney did in Alberta. So I don't know what you think, but
I agree that he wants to take the wind out of the sails. I agree that I think that Carney put him in a kind of bad spot, which I like and respect by doing this. But I think that the intention here is to expose Liberal MPs who want to be able to say, "Hey, I'm not for this. Pardon me, I disagree with this." I think he's looking for them to say it publicly. We saw Guilbeault say publicly that he, by resigning and stuff, but so far nobody else has said anything, which I believe shows a strong, united party within the Liberals. But if these guys are given the opportunity to vote and then they can say, actually, I'm against this, I think that Pierre is going to use that as kind of a wedge of, oh, look at these guys. They were, chirping away about my MP that crossed the floor and my MP that resigned. And look at these fractures. And I think that that's what he's doing. I think he's trying to create a wedge so that he can, drive a thingy in it. I don't know what the word is because I can't think of the tools, but you know what I mean? I think he's using it as a wedge issue. That's what I think.
I think the whole thing's funny, actually, because you have a lot of people that are up in arms over Carney even doing this in the first place, and I laugh because essentially it's political theater, and what Carney did too. Essentially, what he signed with Danielle Smith means nothing. It means nothing. It's just sort of it's basically the federal government basically saying, hey, yeah, we're behind the pipeline. We're behind doing this for you and for Alberta and whatever. However, we still need BC's approval. We still need the Indigenous, like there's still all the things that have to happen. just because he signed this doesn't mean it's happening. It
Right.
still has to go through the same protocols as it did no matter what, regardless of this signing. So I think it's funny, that Carney even did that in the first place. But I
he
mean,
got something else in there too. He got in there about carbon capture.
yeah.
So he got something that Smith would never be talking about on her own. She agreed to something that she would never propose because she thinks that, well, if I do this, I get my pipeline, when it is very unlikely that the ifs that are in that MOU were to come to fruition.
Yeah. And I think it's hilarious. Like the whole thing.
It's a good move. I do.
Well, it was super smart. I mean, and which Poilievre probably saw that, or the federal conservatives looked at it and go, like, we got to do something. We got to do something, and that's exactly what Poilievre did. That's why he put that out there for the pipeline, so that he can, either create the wedge or at least, knock the wind out of the sails of what was happening, and I don't know. It's all political theater. But I think it's political theater on both sides. Like what Carney did was sort of the same thing, and everyone who doesn't understand it, there's nothing to it other than Carney saying, yeah, no problem. We'll do this. You guys do this. We do this. No worries. But at the end of the day, all the other stuff that still had to be done has to be done. So it really doesn't matter. None of it matters. Can't hear you, Christy. You're still on mute. Oh, she's going because of the dogs. Or dog. But yeah, no, I think it's actually going to be pretty fun watching what's happening. I think Carney's actually playing chess while Poilievre's playing checkers right now, and I don't think Poilievre likes it very much. It'd be really interesting to see what happens in January when Poilievre's review comes back, and see if he's still the leader of the Conservative Party.
Did you see that convention where he has now changed? He's trying to be more likable, and
Pepper.
I think it was 22 minutes.
Oh, really? No,
the man who imitates Pierre Poilievre was on 22 Minutes, showed up to this convention.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then he pretended to be Pierre, and then Pierre came up and was like, "What are you doing?" And
I'm gonna have to look that up, because honestly, this hour has 22 minutes, has some of the funniest sketches I've seen, and I think they nail Poilievre so well, well.
Yeah, that guy does.
Yeah, like just everything about him, and then it works out really, really well. So I'm gonna have to.
You gotta watch it. He showed up. He pretended like he was Pierre Poilievre on the podium at this convention, and then Pierre Poilievre, he's like, "Oh, I need to be more likable," and yeah. Christy's back.
I thought it was funny. I actually, I'm so sorry. I forgot somebody was coming for some service today. I totally forgot. That's why my dog was freaking out. So I have to dip for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Told you guys I'm rusty. I told you.
What should we talk about?
Long. I'll be right back.
I got to figure out what's on the list.
Well, I could show you. I could maybe look up and show you the.
Or Polly could talk about the letter writing campaign for Leah Gazan's bill. I'm so sorry, you guys.
That too.
But I'll be back as soon as I can.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
1 Million Voices for Inclusion has partnered up with Leah and another person to do a letter writing campaign to further Leah's bill that will make residential school denialism illegal in Canada, just like the Holocaust. And so we have a letter writing campaign. I wonder if I could show.
I find it sad that it's come to that. The fact that we have to do this.
Yeah.
Those residential school denialism is an actual thing. There are people out there that are doing this, and they're actively promoting this. Is disgusting, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand why these people would be doing that in the first place. And
Yeah.
that bill needs to pass, and there needs to be some accountability for these people to do that. I mean, I feel like essentially it should be a hate crime for them to be doing this. Yeah, Bill C-254. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Leah's bill, and this is our letter writing campaign. So there, I'm gonna post a link in the description in the YouTube, and then I'll also add it to the link tree for Maple Minds. But currently, it is in the link tree on Poilievre. And this is Leah's bill to make residential school denialism illegal. This is a letter writing campaign to all the politicians to let them know that this is something that Canada wants. So if you fill in your name and your email and everything, it has the letter already pre-written. So it has a letter that's written for you. But if you don't like that and want to write your own, you can also change it. You could change it to make it your own letter.
Yeah, and it's not so much, it's something that's needed, and the fact that it's needed again is
it's ridiculous. Like I don't know what is going on here. Like I don't understand. It's like, yeah, like I don't get why. And this should be hate. This should be a hate crime.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. Like angered, like to even think that, there are Canadians out there that are acting this way or feel this way. And, that's like, to me, I just don't understand like how anyone could deny it or even speak out about it, in denial of what happened. And for me, these people have a special place in hell, and I just I can't I can't even talk about it because it's just angering. Is that a video on it, or is that
she's
just a web?
this is one of her videos.
Today I will be reintroducing my bill to recognize residential school denialism as a form of inciting hate. It's been over a decade since the release of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Canada. And since that time, we have seen, since the discovery of unmarked graves, an increase in denialism about what occurred in the residential schools. This is horrific, particularly because all members of Parliament unanimously supported my motion in 2022 to recognize what happened in residential schools as an act of genocide, the first genocide that was recognized within Canadian borders. At a time where we are looking at, once again, building a nation on the backs of Indigenous peoples around our lands, territories, and resources, in the name of national interest, in violation of constitutionally enshrined Indigenous rights. If this government is serious about reconciling with Indigenous people, it must ensure the protection of survivors. It was the stories of survivors and our families that put us on a path towards reconciliation. So I'm calling on the government to do the right thing, to take on this bill, to support this bill, and truly honor the gift that residential school survivors provided to Canada. Thank you.
So that was October 31st, 2025. She's been trying to get this bill pushed through. And that's what this letter writing campaign is to all the politicians, to let them know that this is something that Canadians want. This is something that we should all be supporting.
Yeah, and it's not so much what Canadians want; it's what Canadians need. You know, that's
Yes,
really what
thank
it
you.
comes down to. You
That's
know,
exactly right.
yeah. So I hope everyone gets behind this, and you know, to me, it's a no brainer. I mean, just let's get this in, and let's do this.
Yeah, so this is the letter writing campaign. Right now, if you go to Poilievre, it is in my link tree, and I will be adding it to the link tree here on Maple Minds podcast TikTok. And then also in the description of this live, I will attach it as well. And then if anybody wants to message me, and I'll send you the link. Yeah, Christy's back.
I'm so sorry, you guys.
That's okay.
Probably one small interruption and then I'm totally back in. Are we ready to talk about the next one? Because I remember what it is.
And just remember, tomorrow at 5, they'll be talking about
OneBC.
Yes, thank you.
Dallas Brody and her party of promoting bigotry and hatred and racism. Anyway, that's for tomorrow. Tomorrow at 5.
So you left on Pierre Poilievre's pipelines.
Pierre. Yeah, the thing I wanted to say about that is the reason I think that he is, and we can agree it's a show, but I think it's an intentional show. Like I said, to create wedges in the Liberal Party, to expose any sort of thing that he can perceive as a weakness, like, oh look, he doesn't have the support of his whole party, anything, because that guy's got a leadership review coming up in about 4 or 5 weeks. So he needs, I think, a big play. I'm not sure if you've seen the poll numbers, but preferred prime minister, the guy's numbers are like teeny compared to Carney's. Carney's in the 50 plus range, and Poilievre was in like the 25 range. He's far behind Carney. I think Carney was at 57. So he's far behind Carney in preferred prime minister. How much are the Conservatives going to want to keep a leader that can't win? How good are your ideas if you can't put them into place? And that's something that when we're talking about OneBC, and you don't have the majority, you don't have power to get your ideas put into place. I think the same thing about the NDP. I think a lot of times that the NDP are so busy, feeling like, well, our ideas are right, and that's the only thing that matters. It's not the only thing that matters. Your ability to put your ideas into practice to actually help Canadians is a big part of your job. It isn't just the person with the best idea. It's the person who can get majority support or get enough support in order to do something. These guys lost party status. They lost sight of the most important part of their job, and that is to represent their party in Parliament. And you can do that on a much smaller scale when you don't have party status. Yeah,
I think at the end of the day, you need a leader that's going to be a leader that people can follow and trust and feel good about. And Poilievre is not that guy. He's not that guy. He might be for a certain percentage of people, right? But he's not that guy. And I still think that percentage of people in the 20s that see him as a preferred leader, if he was out of the picture and they put someone else in there, they would say the same thing. They'd be like, that same 25% would be like, yeah, this is our preferred leader. Just because they're the Conservative leader. It's not because it's Pierre Poilievre. It's because he's the Conservative leader and they want a Conservative leader, in as prime minister. That's plain and simple. I'm sure if they took like 4 different Conservative people and they put them all in there and said, who's the preferred leader? Chances are it's not going to be Poilievre, because he's not that guy. He is not him.
I truly can't imagine them keeping, and I'm going to lose this bet though. I said the guy would be gone by Christmas. No. I think on Boxing Day, I'm probably making a few videos. Mr.
Yeah.
Poilievre, if you see this, you can help me by resigning before Christmas so that I win the bet and I get the videos. But anyways, I can't imagine this guy passes his leadership view. Why would you want to keep a captain that can't win the series, man? Like it seems like they're keeping this guy because they like the goals that he scores. They like that he is slamming his competition. They like how he fights, but he can't win. He can't win. Why would you want to keep a guy who can't win?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. The majority of Canadians have spoken. They're not going to vote for him as prime minister. I mean, that's just really what it comes down to. You know,
especially reflected in the recent poll numbers.
Oh yeah, huge. And they're not getting better. I mean, that's the thing is, if they were improving, if they were going on a upwards trajectory, but they're not. They're getting worse. So if they're getting worse while he's in opposition, that's a huge red flag. Because usually the opposition should move up. Like it should actually move up while you're in the opposition, not go down. The person in power, you know, the prime minister's approval should be going down and the opposition should be going up. That's just sort of how it goes.
Usually. But we've got a guy who is when you see, you know, the results so far, I think that the more favorable our year-end results are economically, I think also the worse it goes for Pierre, because like, what does he have? He's got, Carney can't make a budget. The economist who can't make a budget. He's so bad at the economy. The inflation numbers looking good. Unemployment numbers looking better than expected. All of this does not play well for him.
No. I mean, everything's going well right now. And they're moving in the right direction, and Poilievre's got nothing. Like, how do you argue against when things are going well? So things are going well for Canadians.
The argument that they keep presenting, and not just Poilievre, but all of his cheerleaders on social media, the thing that they're pushing is this lack of a trade deal with Trump. They just laser focus on Trump, like that's just it. Well, he doesn't have a trade deal with this guy, and they're ignoring all of the other deals that he is making. And I'd like to point out here another thing that he did that actually, I don't know if it's his. I don't know how long it was in the making, but I applaud the government's efforts in doing this. There's a $1.7 billion investment in attracting global researchers. I think it's a fantastic time to spend this money. Any other time, I would probably question that kind of money spent, but I think this is a fantastic time to place that bet when the United States is actively repelling anybody who wants to further their education in science in that country.
Oh yeah, I mean that's aimed directly at the scientists in the U.S. to come into Canada, just like the pull for nurses right now. There's a lot of, hey, come on up to Canada, up to Canada, and there's I've seen a lot of videos. Really great ones on some of the nurses that have come from the US into Canada. There was one really great one in Nanaimo of a lady that came from California, I think it was, and moved to Nanaimo, and just talking about her life there and just what a difference it was. And that's the thing, right? Is when you invest at the right times and you put that money into investing in the right things, you're going to do well. And a lot of people look at the money that we're spending, but that money that we're spending, it's an investment. It really is. It's an investment in the future of Canada, and it's going to pay off.
There was once a guy, he was a left-leaning political content creator. He's not on the app anymore, but I remember disagreeing with him strongly when he criticized Carney's use of the phrase that there's a difference between an investment and spending. He couldn't understand that if you're departing with money, that there would be, and I think I brought this up on the show before. Of course, there's a difference. One gives you a return on that money and the other one doesn't. And that's what an investment is. I think that the $1.7 billion is going to be reflected in our economy down the road when we have superior programs to our American neighbors who traditionally had the advantage in these markets.
Yeah, they did, because there was a lot of funding for them down in the US. There was a lot of drain of Canadian intellectuals that were going down there because there was so much funding for research and development, and just a ton of money being spent down there.
And not only is that attractive, like you do have all that funding, you're right, but also you're paying less tax down there. Yeah. So you're getting to keep more of the money too.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was very attractive. It isn't as attractive now. And now we're investing in the funding. We're going to become attractive. And I honestly do believe that rewards us in our economy down the road.
No, definitely will. 100%. Especially bringing more people in that can, maybe make a difference in people's lives. Right. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about all the things that are happening, and actually the third quarter results for Canada? We're pretty. Was it third quarter results?
Favorable.
Yeah, very favorable.
Yeah, we avoided a technical recession by it. I have to dip for another second. 1 sec, sorry, but this is the last time.
Okay. Yeah, so I think what we're doing with the investing, I mean, obviously it's a huge chunk of change, and we're putting a lot of money into this, and it is a little bit of a gamble, but it's a gamble in the right direction. So I think that if we continue along this pace, we're gonna see some serious growth in Canada, especially with the amount of different trade deals that are coming around, throughout the different countries, and especially getting away from our dependence on the US is going to do something pretty remarkable for us, I think. And I'm getting a little tired of the conservatives pumping, well, you haven't got to deal with US, you haven't got to deal with the US. Who cares? Who cares right now?
One.
Well, I mean, we don't want the deal that is going to be given to us. So we all know that Donald Trump is not going to give us the greatest deal that we want. So why not keep going everywhere else and then have the US come crawling to us when they realize that things are not going to go well for them. I'm still surprised at Donald Trump right now talking about heavily taxing the fertilizer coming from Canada into the US, because he wants the
potash, right?
Potash.
Yeah. He wants the US to develop their own. Well, newsflash, buddy. Like, they're going to need it. The spring is coming.
It'll take
spring
a while.
is coming. Yeah, spring is coming for your US farmers, and if you're going to start raising the tariffs on potash for fertilizer for them, and they can't get that anywhere else, they're going to be in some serious trouble. And the best part is, what, you want to give them a bailout? Well, guess what? Go for it. Give them a bailout. Now you're going to spend all that money that you did on taxes or tariffing everything, but they still have to buy it. They still need it. And there's no way the US is going to have a turnaround that quickly to start creating potash, which I don't think they can anyway. So, I mean, I think
Canada supplies 80%, 80. That's more than 3/4 of their potash comes from Canada, mostly Saskatchewan. His whole narrative that they're pushing about how the reason for the bailout is Biden. Oh, we love the farmers. Biden hated the farmers. That's all he keeps saying. He just repeats that same message about how Biden hated farmers, and that's why they're in this situation. No, they're in the situation because of tariffs. And then he credits the tariffs. Oh, if it wasn't for tariffs, we wouldn't be able to pay the farmers. I love the farmers. I want to give the farmers money. No, you are hurting the farmers. I think that they're doing it on purpose. I do. I think that they want to buy up the farms. I think that they want to financially break the farmers, which who are they selling their soybeans to, right? They've got issues. Like, if you're a soybean farmer, like Scott Besson. Did you see that? Did you see Scott Besson pretending he's a soybean farmer? He repeatedly says it in interviews about how he's a soybean farmer. He's an investor in a soybean. That doesn't mean he's a soybean farmer. He's like, well, my family works. Come on, man. Anyways, they're just using it for excuses. And it's just like they keep dangling these carrots of, oh, we're making so much money from these tariffs. Pardon me. And We're doing this to have great trade deals for all Americans. It's just a lot of talk about trade deals while they're hurting them with tariffs, while that circle is getting personally wealthy. It's fascinating to see kind of happen, and it's not even in slow motion. It's happening quite quickly, I think. But one thing is 100% for sure. It hurts farmers. It hurts farmers, and all these people who were yelling that there was this cabal of rich people who wanted to force communism on people. You're watching people get rich while they're giving bailouts to farmers because they're the ones hurting them. They hurt the farmers, and then they go, hey, farmers, here's some money from us. And then they keep hurting the farmers, and then here's some more money from us. Pretty soon, they're just going to buy up the farms. They're going to own everything, which is what everybody has been warning us. The other guys.
And who's buying it all up? Yeah, the other guys. Everybody has been like, they're going to get rid of the farmers and buy all the land, and they voted those people in that are doing it.
Yes.
I think it's hilarious because where say the farmers were earning $1 billion, before, and let's be clear. No one was looking for any sort of bailout money while Biden was in office. Nobody was even looking for it because they didn't need it. They were making money. So if the farmers were getting $1 billion for all the stuff that they were doing, and now they're not, but the administration is like, oh, we'll give you bailout money. Here's $500 million. They're pocketing the other $500 million in their pockets and then saying, oh, here, you can have this $500 million. Meanwhile, the farmer's like, well, we used to have $1 billion. Now we only have $500 million. Oh, it'll be fine. You'll be fine. It'll get you through. That's what we got for you. But hey, here you go. It's baffling. It's baffling that people can't see what's really happening down there. But I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, is it an emotional thing? Is it that, they keep there's this certain message that they're pushed hard on? This is what we voted for. This is what we voted for. This is what we wanted. And they're supporting things that I would like to think regular human beings wouldn't support. I would like to think that human beings wouldn't support just the gathering up of other human beings and disappearing them, right? They're just getting thrown into vans to never be seen again based on their skin color and accents. Sometimes what kind of baseball hat they're using. And when we look at that in history, everybody goes, oh, that was bad. How did they let that happen? We're watching people let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And where do a lot of those people work? They work on the farms. They're migrant workers that come up and work on the farms. And I mean, again, there's another shot against, people against farmers and agriculture down in the US. I mean, that's massive.
Yep. I've never run a farm, but I imagine that labor to be used on that farm, besides your equipment and stuff, pardon me, I imagine labor is a challenge. And if it wasn't, we would see, and this whole argument of, well, they should be, hiring, why do they have to do that? The whole industry, it's not just one farmer going, hey, I'm going to save a couple of bucks by, putting an ad down in the Dominican or whatever. It's the industry. So if you want people to hire, target the industry. It's not just a few farmers anyways.
Well, you see that here too. I mean, we see the busloads of migrant farm workers that get bused to the grocery stores to go get their food for the week, and then they all go back to the farms.
And they're only here seasonally.
Yeah, they're only here seasonally. But they're listed as skilled workers. I mean, they are skilled workers. They know what they're doing. They're very good at what it is. I don't think I would be a very skilled farm worker. I don't think I could do the job that those guys could do. I think it's a tough job, and I think it's something that you just, you need to be very skilled at. And, some people don't realize it, but, they're very important to the farmers.
I agree with you. And I think that the ability to do the skill is as important as the willingness to do the skill. I don't believe that without them, you would have a lot of people willingly seeking those jobs. You'd already see it if that was the case.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a need for it. So,
but also some of that lies in the amount that they're paid too, and I don't know how much that is. But I think overall, I think farmers deserve support. I think that people should be concerned with the amount of farms that we have today versus the amount of farms we had when we were growing up, because that number's a lot smaller. I think that we should be concerned about succession plans. I think that if you don't make farming profitable, and I kind of had this, I didn't have the argument publicly, but I thought about it when people are saying, when I was having the grocery store argument, when people are saying that, government should own the grocery stores because that way you'd sell groceries at not a profit and you shouldn't let anybody private run grocery stores. And then some people say that it is completely immoral to take a profit off of selling food. And then immediately I think about farmers. I don't just think about grocery store guys. I think about everybody along the supply chain who feeds people. And that starts with farmers. If you made farmers farm for no profit, nobody's going to want to be a farmer. And then you have no succession plans. You have nobody running the farms. And then the government has to take over. Do you know what I mean? I think we need to make farming desirable so that people want to keep farming, because I personally want to see a system where farmers are selling stuff that's on their farm. I don't want to just be buying from the government. If you have a complaint about only buying from one of the 5 CEOs that run the 5 major grocery chains in Canada, like, why are you willing to trade that in for the government? Why do you want just a small number of people deciding your food choices? I want farmers. And I'd like to see them supported more. That's my rant.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure.
And really, if you look at what farmers make on average, like, they have very nice houses on their farms and they do well. I'm going to argue for the amount of work that they're putting in. If you break that down like per hour and by the skill, I've seen the insides of these tractors. There's a guy that that goes back to Saskatchewan every year to help out his brother in the farm, and he sent me videos of like inside the tractor. You have to be like an engineer, man. It's all computerized, and there is a lot that goes into it. It isn't just dragging a shovel or whatever. It is a very challenging job. I think that it needs to be rewarded in a way that it is desirable, so that we have more people who want to be farmers, not less.
Yeah, I agree.
Yay, farmers.
Let's go. What else we got? There's not much time, but
what about Sean Fraser proposing a bill to include
femicide?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Sean Fraser comes out with this bill, and he wants to have certain crimes recognized as first-degree murder, crimes against women and children. He wants femicide to be considered in the crime for stronger penalties. And those parts, I agree with. The part where he challenges mandatory minimums, I disagree with, because it's already been decided in the Supreme Court. It's already been appealed in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has found that mandatory minimum. I think you're chasing a fight that you're not going to win, and then I wonder why. And usually the reason a politician chases a fight that they can't win isn't to win the fight, but it's to win public points. And that's what I think that part of it is. Like I said, I agree with the language changes so that the penalties will better match the crimes, in my opinion. I don't believe that trying to pass a bill when you know that the Supreme Court isn't going to allow it. I think find another way to win. I think there's another way to write laws in order to ensure appropriate penalties without bringing up something that has already been struck down. You don't keep chasing a losing bet. You find something better to bet on in order to get your way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I see that, but at the same time, if we don't chase things that we want, then what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I might not agree with the maximums or the minimums that are out there right now. And if we can change that, why not? Like, why not push for the change? Why not push for something? You know,
Okay.
because here's the thing: is at the end of the day, we've got mandatory minimums that, or do we have mandatory? Like, anyway,
No, they were struck
yeah,
down.
yeah. So at the end of the day, why could we not have that? Why could we not have some mandatory minimums?
Because it was found unconstitutional, both
That's
in the
great,
Supreme
but let's
Court
fight it.
original
Let's
ruling
fight it,
and in the appeal. So
and let's
I'm
do it
not
again.
saying,
Let's keep pushing the boundaries.
but
I'm one of
that's
those
not what
people
he's
that
doing.
I'm not just going to sit there and go, well, they said no, so I guess we're just going to stop and we're just going to play by whatever rules that we can play. No, screw it. Push it again.
But it's not going to
Push
be
it again.
successful. My whole point is that it won't be
Why not?
successful because it's
Keep
been
going.
struck down. If
Well,
you
do it
want
again.
to, if you want to challenge that ruling, there's a way to do that. It isn't trying to pass a bill. Passing a bill isn't going to go to court and get the Supreme Court to change it. It's only going to be decided upon with existing precedents. If you want to change the mandatory minimums, then go after the mandatory minimums. Don't suggest that they can be put in when you know that they can't. That's my whole point. You're going to lose on it. My point isn't that we shouldn't have mandatory minimums. My point is that it's already been tried, trued, and found to not be a winner. Find a way around that in order to get what you want. Find a way to write the laws in order to have people who commit these crimes be able to go through the punishment that we find suitable. I think you can do that without saying mandatory minimums, which you know isn't going to get put through. And again, if you want to challenge mandatory minimums, then challenge mandatory minimums. That's not what he's doing. He's proposing a bill that has them in it. It's different.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is at the end of the day, I think the court system has failed us. I think there's a lot of people like that are being convicted of these, you know, heinous crimes, and they're getting nothing. Like their sentencing is ridiculous. They need to be locked up for life. They need to be throw away the keys. Like, enough is enough. Like there shouldn't be the discretion of a court where, like, well, you know, this is his first offense. Who gives a, like, who, this is the first time he's been caught. You know, how do you know it's not the first offense?
Well,
These people are, you know, especially crimes against children, you know, like, enough.
Yeah.
Like, just get out of here.
The judges, though, the judges are not following through with what they could be as far as putting people in jail. I don't know why, but
that's why we need mandatory minimums.
The problem is,
to
though, is
offset the ridiculousness of the judges.
Yeah, but if somebody is falsely accused, then they have to have the mandatory minimum, and that's where I think the Supreme Court is fighting it, is because you know, you're innocent till you're proven guilty.
Yeah, and when you're proven guilty, there you go. Here's your sentence. Done. You know, like, I think at the end of the day, we need to protect the children of this country. We need to protect them because, you know, definitely the judges of this world are not protecting them. They're not. Do you know how many times I see online? Oh, this child predator, whatever. They've been released into this neighborhood, or they've been released into that neighborhood, or they've been released into this. Why are they being released into the neighborhoods?
I know.
Why
I agree.
They out? Why? Oh, this person's been convicted 2 times of child molestation. What are they doing on the street? Oh, well, they've got ankle things and they can't be out after dark. Like, come on. They can't be within a certain, you know, a certain amount of feet from a playground or a school or what. Put them in jail. Get them out of here. Like, they shouldn't even be able to walk around freely at any point in time. Well, children aren't going to be at the grocery store when they're there. The children aren't going to be in a parking lot somewhere. They're going to be around. These people are menaces. Like, honestly, like, that bothers me to no end. To no end.
Which is why they use it. It's why they use it. This is why they put bills forward that they know aren't going to get put through, because they know it riles people up, because we're talking about children, and anybody who reads these stories gets affected. Most of us get affected because we're so disgusted by this, and we want to see accountability, and we get frustrated with the lack of accountability that we see. Now, I agree with you that the court system should be doing more to protect children.
Absolutely.
I don't agree that, sorry.
Absolutely. Sorry.
Okay. I don't agree that putting forward a bill that I think that you're just kicking the can down the road. You're not protecting any children by performing political theater of putting forward something that you know isn't going to pass. Like I said, if you want to challenge mandatory minimums, then do that in the courts. Challenge the appeal. That's not what he's doing. He's putting something that isn't feasible, kind of like how Carney put the pipeline stuff in that bill. That's what Sean Fraser did with the mandatory minimum stuff. He put in something that he knows cannot move forward because of legal precedent. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't challenge the legal precedent. I'm saying this isn't what he's doing, and that is not the way to do it.
I'm gonna look
And
it up a little bit
it
more.
doesn't protect children by
Yeah.
You have to
pretending that
fight
it
it.
does.
You have to fight it in the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court keeps
Yeah.
saying that it's against
And nobody's doing that. They're all pretending
Yeah.
that this is a big issue, and none of them are taking it to the Supreme Court, which is the proper place to fight something like that. They're just pretending to the public like they give a shit about it by putting it in bills, knowing that it can't possibly legally in Canada be put forward.
Yeah.
Can it not, though? Can it not for sure?
Can it not? It can't.
100%.
The Supreme Court has ruled against it.
They've already ruled, right?
They've already ruled, and it's already been appealed and ruled against. So,
No,
and I'm not saying don't challenge that, but challenge that in the proper arena. It's like going to play hockey on a soccer field.
And nobody
Yeah,
here is
field
saying
hockey.
it's not ridiculous.
Field
It's
hockey.
That
absolutely
was
ridiculous.
a great analogy. Come on.
No,
That's a good analogy.
It's called field hockey.
Oh, come on.
That's what it's called, field hockey. There's still a game. There's a game of hockey on a field. It's called field hockey. Let's
Ice
play.
hockey. I missed the word ice, but if I had ice, that was a good one. If I had ice,
If it was, for sure. I don't know. I think I'm gonna look it up a little bit more and try to figure that out, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, I just want to see harsher punishments, and I think that it's a step in the right direction. I think it's great that it's even out there in the first place, and I think there needs to be more attention on it, and I think something needs to be done.
Let me tell you something. If I'm ever in charge of the world, this is what I would do in the ways of protecting children. I don't know enough about the law of what I would propose for sentencing. I would we agree that I would like to see stronger sentences. I just don't agree with what Sean Fraser is doing and why, but I've covered that to death. What I would do is I would attack the Jordan rule, and I would try to pass a law that stated that the Jordan rule should not apply when the crimes involve crimes of this nature against children. Because especially in Eastern Canada, you should see how many cases never even get seen. These survivors, these children, or people who were children when this happened to them, have gone through the painful experience of recounting this to lawyers and to police and to whoever in order to get this case filed, and then it doesn't even get to see the light of day, and then you just gotta, sorry, we timed out. Your time in order for this to court has expired. Not your fault, it's our fault, but there's nothing we can do about it. I would change that. I understand why that's in place, and I understand that being in place for other crimes. This should not be put in place for crimes of this nature against children. In my opinion, there is no statute of limitations in Canada. There is no amount of time that matters for you to come and report a crime of this nature. You should still have the same time allowance in court, in my opinion. Christy for PM.
Done. No, that's the thing is, like, I understand if it's like some sort of theft, like someone stole from a grocery store or something, and their thing timed out, and then they got off on some technicality. I mean, whatever. No harm, no foul, essentially. But crimes against women, against children, hate crimes. There are certain things that just should be tried. It doesn't matter. There should not be a timeout on any of that stuff. Like, it doesn't make sense. You're essentially saying, hey, this guy or this woman or whoever it is not going to be held accountable for these heinous crimes because it's happened out in the court system.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me? But
That's
it
what
still
I was-
goes back to
and
still goes
again-
back to my thing, though, is at the end of the day, a mandatory minimum for certain crimes should be there. Like, and I'm not talking crazy like, oh, mandatory 25 years to life kind of thing. Mandatory. I'm talking about, what do people feel like this? Like, no judge should ever, put someone away for this amount of time or this amount of time. It should be at least this amount of time or more. Like, where a judge would be like,
Go look at those
1
Supreme
year
Court
suspended
rulings.
sentence, blah, 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 blah.
But instead of expecting it to be able to be put into a bill, go and read the ruling and read the appeal ruling and see what you're fighting against. Instead of just saying, I disagree with it, find out what their reason is so you have a better argument to go against it. Instead of, I just think it should be different, because right now we don't know why, right? We just know that they found it unconstitutional, and in appeal they found it unconstitutional. So at this point, it is a losing bet.
It's because they're a bunch of bleeding heart people that feel
You don't know. Read the ruling,
that
man.
feel
Anyway, we need to
rapists
wrap
and
it up
child
'cause we're past an hour.
molesters should have the same rights as everybody else.
I'm going to read the ruling and I'm going to have a better argument for you next time. But for
Perfect.
now, we need to wrap it up because we're past our hour.
Yeah.
And I got stuff to do. But we will pick this up again. I know this is coming up again. Because you know why I know it's being brought up again? Because politicians are going to keep bringing it up for the same reason that I told you. They're going to keep bringing it up for political theater and to get people like me and you riled up. But we will talk about that next time, and I'll have read the ruling.
And I'll say shame on them. Shame on them if it is all political theater and it's not real. Shame on them.
It isn't real. They can't get it passed. They cannot get a bill like that passed when there is legal precedence. Like, period, man.
We'll come back.
That's not a should be or can't. It's just a fact.
We'll all do our research and we'll come back.
That is illegal. Anyways, join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time as we discuss OneBC. OneBC, the party led by Dallas Brody and joined by Tara Armstrong, the party that used public funds to create a video to strengthen residential school denialism. We're going to talk about the risks that this party poses with their actions and their language. We're going to hear from people from the Indigenous community. We're going to hear from people who know a lot about politics. You're going to hear from us opinionated people. We're not going to talk about mandatory minimums tomorrow. We will next Tuesday. We will be back with the Maple Minds podcast next Tuesday at 1 o'clock Pacific time. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube. Make sure you're following our TikTok page. Make sure you tell your friends and family too as well, so we can get more followers and we can keep doing this. That's all I got. I'll see you guys.
Tomorrow's is on your profile, right?
Pardon me? Yeah,
Tomorrow's?
the TikTok will be on my profile, and
So
hopefully somebody can join in on the Maple Minds one.
Yeah, I will. I'll join in on the Maple Minds, and then I'm going to try to
we
stream
got
it
some cool guests coming
to YouTube.
Yeah,
So
see if you can stream it to YouTube. If not, we can put a copy of it on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, thanks for everybody being here.
Thank you very much, Rob. We are going to keep talking about mandatory minimums when I am better prepared and we're not past our hour.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we'll have a great day. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 5 o'clock BC time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. See you later.
Bye. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, Oscar.